There we got people joining us. This is
There you
awesome.
go.
What we up to? About 30? Good deal. Thanks everyone for joining and being on time. Honestly, that's pretty cool. I was I was on a AI panel discussion a couple days ago. This guy wanted me to come on, just kind of talk what I've been doing about with AI, and like, all right, it's part of his little mastermind. Thinking to be just a few people. It was like 58 people showed up, and every one of them had their cameras on, and I've never seen that. I actually asked him. I texted him afterward. I'm like, how did you get everyone to turn their cameras on? He's like, oh, it's part of our agreement.
Huh?
What? He goes, yeah, if they're a part of the mastermind, they have to sign this agreement that says if they don't show up, or B, if they don't turn their cameras on, they're out.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen that. So we're not going to be that much of a hard ass saying you got to turn your cameras on. But hey, if you do, it is always kind of
Absolutely.
it's always funner. So
So how did your one go the other day with SBOA?
it was fine. It's always a little different with panels. That's why, frankly, that's why I like this. We get a lot more time that way with talking and getting more in depth. When you have panels and you say it's 3, 4, 5 people, there's only so much to go around. There's
Panel's got to be
still
max
great
of
information.
three
Yeah,
with a moderator.
yeah. So there's always that one person that's kind of left out, unfortunately, not by any, not trying to be that way. It's just how it always kind of works out. So
Absolutely.
that happens. But no, still good information. It's all about uh rev management in this, in this climate, what you're doing for occupancy, you're getting the phone to ring, and are you matching the reads when it comes to specials and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's not like a hard, fast rules of what you got to do. It's always the common themes. Like every site's a little bit different, every market's a little bit different. You got to find the right fit, what works for you. Same kind of. That's how it usually goes.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, we were I had the pleasure of speaking with Dave Cooper. Dave and I presented the manager session in Florida last week, and we
Oh
had
yeah.
a nice attendance in the room, and it's the same thing. It's just as we talked about that the days of the gravy train are over. And we actually surprisingly actually Matt, we have to work and actually get rentals these days, and what we need to do, and the importance of how we do certain things. And then while I was there, actually, ironically, I got invited to. I'm going to do a presentation in the New England show with David Emerson, and we came up with a really cool title, and it was like, "Don't let fear stand in your way." And really, as I started building the PowerPoint, it really started taking a life of its own, because let's face it, every human being is afraid of change, whether we want to admit it or not. Um,
Of course.
and it's funny because I'll say this once in a while when I speak, that when my kids were little and they went to school, if they had a substitute teacher, their day was shot to hell.
That
Me, if I had a substitute teacher, like, let's go.
was a good day.
So exactly. So it's amazing how people, fear that change. And if you really think back, Jim, even 3 years ago before COVID, how much has changed since then, technology wise? And you have to embrace it. I mean, I know I see Sherry Miller on here. Her and I just had a conversation in Florida and again this week about the importance of a call center.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask you, when you say they're afraid of change, what's the first little step of, I mean, what do you see people are being afraid of change? What's coming up?
It's one of the slides I have in my session, and one of the things I hear when we you and I consult and talk all over the place, and when I hear this phrase, it just chills, right? Well, because that's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
That's not it. I mean, change is inevitable. And actually, Dave and I had a slide in our PowerPoint that was and it's funny. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. I can share this. If I can share the screen real quick here.
You got to flip it. It's a change of perspective. Change is good.
I mean, look at this slide.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
That I mean, that's it. That's times are changing, and think of, and we said even there, the change from here to here in the last 10 years is incredible. So anybody who's not embracing it and seeing what's new, and for those of you on here, I know we're now in show season coming up, and we got SSA Spring is coming up, ISS coming up, and then all the state shows are starting to hop. If you're not a member of your state association, you should be. And B, get yourself to a show. And we talked about it in PA last year. The thing, if you're going to your association meeting, and I saw Max Volatin's on here, he's now the president-elect of Georgia. If you're not going to your show, take somebody with you. Bring a neighbor, bring your competitor with you, because we all get better when we're doing that stuff, right?
I just took over a site in Amarillo, Texas, and I haven't been in Texas it's been a minute since I've operated there. And literally the first thing I did was join the Texas Self-Storage Association, because it's one of the best, guys. I mean, it really is. If you're in Texas, you're golden.
Anyway, Texas and Florida have to rank the top ones.
Anyway, I just got the little goodie package. Won't go through the whole thing, but I mean, the
gold book.
Gold book is like amazing. It's like all your legal stuff and forms and all that. So, it's all right there. All there.
So let's do a poll here. Put in the chat. How many people here are not a member of their association? If you don't want to say don't, but I mean, I'd love to know. We're members of all our associations, and you have to be. It's important to be there.
Yeah, it's one of those things I would love to be able to kind of push the initiative a little bit more of like doing this, sprinkle throughout more of the year than just the in-person ones as well for the state shows. I mean, the in-person ones are great, but they are kind of few and far between too. So I would love to see some more of the, doesn't have to be us, I'm not saying us, but just more of some opportunities for the state local people to be able to chat, because it is different. Like when you got like the owners, having sites in Utah, they like to talk about their own little sites versus the ones that are in Kansas. Right. A little different vibe. So anyway, that'd be kind of cool to see that start happening.
We just had a board meeting yesterday for PA, and we're trying to draw more people from Western Pennsylvania into the association, because we don't have as much. And we have 2 board members that are out there, and we're trying to figure out, and we're going to kind of follow Georgia and North Carolina's leads and try to do a lunch and learn and figure out what we can do there. And I said to Scott, I said, what is important right now in the Pittsburgh market? Not talking Pennsylvania, we're not talking national. What do the people in Pittsburgh want to hear? What do they need? Let's give it to them. If we have a lunch and learn or just a get together, that we can draw some excitement and energy out there. So, and again, it works different places. So, but.
Well, in the meantime, hey, you got Jim and Jim, so we're we're answering your questions as much as we can. Put it in comments, and then if you're willing, we'll bring you up.
Yeah,
camera, chat, and talk to us. So, real quick, we got Amber. Then when it dries up, I got my own questions, but for now, hey, if you guys are on, you're taking the time, cool. Let us know what's up. Amber, you want to jump on? Feel free to come on and ask your question, or I can just read it. I'll give you a couple seconds here. Dun, dun, dun. All right, let's just read it. All right, Amber says, oh, there you are.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, I just have, I'm having a really hard time. I don't really understand the laws very well. I don't know if it's just because, I don't understand the lingo, but I have a renter that I've overlocked him because I gave him a notice to vacate, and he has still not vacated, and he just has excuse after excuse after excuse. I told him I don't know if I was legally right to overlock him, because I didn't overlock him until after the day passed that he was supposed to be out. I told him I would be more than happy to unlock his unit when he showed up with a truck big enough to take everything away. And I just don't know if that's legal.
What are you evicting him for?
Oh my gosh, what am I not evicting him for? He has been caught climbing over the fence. He's here after hours. I put him on restricted hours. He still tries to come in. He has not fulfilled 2 of his partial payments. I gave him another chance to fill out another partial payment on these are past units that he had that we agreed he would do a partial payment if I let him move into one big unit, so he would not get so many lien and pre-lien fees. Mm-hmm. And that was the biggest mistake I've ever made. And so he never turned in that other partial payment. He's just, He's constantly here for like 7, 8 hours a day. I've given him several warnings, written letters, emails, certified mail, telling him he cannot be here. And he just doesn't care. And I just am not, he had problems in the past with the previous managers and they restricted his access as well. And then he kind of got himself together and was doing well. And now I'm finding he's slipping back into that old way again. I don't know if he's back on drugs. I'm not sure, but I just don't know what my legal rights are. And I know that my property manager does not want to spend the money to do an unlawful detainer. So I have no backup.
Well, I mean, my first suggestion is going to be to talk to one of the lawyers, whether it's Scott or Jeff or one of those guys, and figure out the best recourse to get him out there.
They told me unlawful detainer. That's what they told me, unlawful detainer. And my property manager won't do that. He doesn't want to spend the money.
Well, you can go through if you give a lease termination letter, so you're not going to renew his lease and he's still there. You have to go through the process, and actually, Jim, right? It has to go through, and in California it's different, but it goes through the eviction process, and you got to go to the a court order for that, right, Jim?
Yeah, and it's a pain.
Yeah.
It's
a
total pain.
If my property manager is unwilling to do that, do I just unlock and just let him keep doing this?
Well, I mean, if he's there after hours, you can depending on the township or where you're at, you can actually file police charges for criminal trespassing.
Well, he was here after hours on a couple occasions in the past. Now I have restricted him to office hours and an hour at a time, and he still abuses that.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's one of those people, you're gonna give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile and run all over you.
It sounds like you're just, I mean, by all the parts, you've kind of bend the rules. And here's one of the things we talk about all the time. And I saw Bob, Jim, I saw Bob Copper last week, and Bob is still same old Bob. And, I say all the time, and we talked about it in our session, avoid the isms. You have to treat everybody the same. But by allowing this guy to do a partial payment, do all these things, you're basically violating your own lease. And, your lease, if you're going to violate one line of it, what's the difference in violating any of it? So you got to figure out how to get him out of there. And it sounds like it's going to cost you money to get him out. Either that, or just say, you know what, come get your stuff and go. But this guy's obviously not going to go. So the only recourse I can see is you're going to have to take the legal route, which is going to cost you money.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I don't get to make that decision. My property manager will not pay the money to do that. And I'm just stuck. So I don't know if I need to quit my job, or I'm not sure what to do.
Go that far. I mean, right now, he's obviously broken his payment agreement right now. So he's already violated that.
Well, see, the problem that I have is he's current on the unit he's in now. It's the two that he moved. It's the two he moved out of that it's like $400.
And it's been, we kind of touched this the other week. I think the problem is by you letting him move out and do that, you got realistically, I don't know what kind of legal recourse you had to hold that for him anyway, because there's no lease on it, right? So, I mean, ideally, what I would probably do, Jim, what do you think? I would send a past due balance to a collection agency, let them deal with the past due, and let them work on the new stuff. And that's one way around it.
Yeah, it's because
I have sent him past due balances on the old accounts. He doesn't care. He just
I would say send it to a national collection agency, let them handle that one and be done with that one, and just focus on the new one.
Okay,
that might be an option. But again, California is such a
horrible
pain
in the
So
Amber,
maybe we can take this one offline a little bit more. Reach us a little bit offline and see if we can point you in the right direction. Because right now you're spinning your wheels, and maybe it's maybe it is the case that you take the past due stuff to a collection agency and go from there. But I would say that you're between a rock and a hard spot, and I don't know if there's an easy way out of this one if your property manager is not willing to invest a little time in the effort.
Okay, so I will try to reach out to you guys on a more private line, like probably on Monday, if that's okay.
I just put my cell number in the chat. text me,
Okay.
I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
Thank you very,
Let's go a little more
thank you.
detail on this. It's a whole can of worms.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you,
Oh,
appreciate it.
Can I ask a question on this one?
Sure.
Go right ahead. That's what we're here for.
I'm not new to real estate. I've been in the real estate business for over 35 years now, but I am new to self-storage, and I'm really having a hard time with the idea that a property manager has such power over the situation to override the owner's wishes. What am I missing here?
Um, yeah, I'll have to talk in private about that because I do have some other information that I was asked just to not talk about. So yeah,
I mean, my role for years in real estate ownership has been to manage the managers. And while a
Unfortunately, though,
manager in my business has leeway to make decisions, this and that, and everything else, they in no way have the power to override my decisions, my will, my wishes on
Mhm.
issues.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's the fine line of feeling supported.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's really what I think we're talking about here. I don't think it's
Okay.
so much of you have to do this my way or the highway. It's just about being supportive because it's the poor managers that have to, crap rolls downhill.
Well, I understand the need to respect the front line,
Yeah,
but I think the
the
front line also has to respect the back office.
yeah. But if there,
the
if there's a legal recourse, that's kind of what we're leaning towards. If there's a
Right.
legal way out of this, you got to explore that a little bit further.
It sounds like there is, but the front line doesn't want to take that route.
No, he doesn't. I've gone through this before with him with another renter. So
All right, well, let's take this offline and go from there.
Yeah, sure. What else we got?
thank you.
I see Trish. Is that Trisha from 5 Star on there? How are you, Trisha?
I am good, Jim. How are you?
I am one. How much snow you got in Fargo?
Well, I'm actually in Bismarck and we have none.
So I know you guys recently converted over from cycling to storage, and you asked that question about the converted the program. How's that going for you guys?
We have good and bad, it's we did a lot at one time. Obviously, we changed insurance, we did a call center, so we had a lot happening at once. But storage has been a pretty big learning curve coming from SiteLink.
It is. Jim, you're pretty familiar with storage, and we had this conversation last week, and it's funny because every PMS out there is different, right? There's pros and cons to all of them.
Yeah.
And Tricia, I know you guys well, and what you guys are used to, some of the things you're used to finding in cycling, you're not going to find in storage. You're just not. It's not there right now. Down the road, it might be. But I would, there are definitely some stronger storage users out there. Jim's a real good one for that knows it pretty well. But just start picking brains and that's what we're here for, sharing, connect offline and share those things to make life a little bit easier. Because you're right, some of the conversions are good, some are bad. I actually just talked to Eric Gardner the other day from you guys, and we were going through some things there. So yeah, it's interesting. Storage, I mean, they're all different. The front end of storage is really, really good for the front end managers, I think. The back end of it, Jim, would you agree that it's not as robust as what we're used to with some of the other PMSs?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it does the job for sure, but there's a few things, certain reports, certain connections with other software. You're like, oh, I wish that would be there. It's just not quite there. If you're doing a conversion, I don't care what people say. All conversions suck. They're never easy. I don't care how it gets spelled out.
Yeah,
it just is.
They are. Conversions are, when you go from one software to another, there's always headaches, and when you have a comfort level with what you've done for a while, and you know exactly where to go to find it, and now all of a sudden you're like, and now you got to stop and think about it. But there are some really good resources out there that you can use, and I know there's some definitely people probably on this call, on this Zoom, that are storage proficient, that can definitely help out with that. So I would start networking and see what you got there, and kind of go from there. I just had somebody just converted from, he was going from Yardi to SiteLink the other week.
What was that like? I haven't done that before.
That was, yeah. We were going through a lot. I helped, we had a call for about an hour and we were doing some things there. So again, anytime you do a conversion, guys, even if it's from, SiteLink to storage, storage to SiteLink, SiteLink to SiteLink, there's going to be some things coming out because, we all think we operate pretty effectively, but when you do a conversion and, people were taking partial payments or didn't have right data, what's that statement, Jim? Garbage in, garbage out some days.
Yep.
So
I'm doing a site right now takeover that was, the information we had was QuickBooks Online and an Excel spreadsheet. It's like, oh my gosh! So now we're like to start from scratch, trying to build the database on storage, and yeah, it's an uphill battle.
Well, Jim, we do have a little bit of a laundry list that we're trying to work through. So anybody that is proficient in storage, I know Crystal and I would love to visit with you and see how we might be able to, we don't want to make it into SiteLink. That's not the purpose. But we're just seeing some things that aren't real friendly for our company that we're trying to work with. Like, how can we evolve with the system instead of work against it? So yeah, anybody, I threw my email out in the chat. So if anybody is proficient, I would, Crystal and I would love to visit with you.
And as I'm typing this in chat, anyone else has any questions, please chime in or put it in chat there.
Sure, you're 100% right. Michelle McKee she's a real good storage person. I don't know if Michelle's on here or not, but she's a real good source. If you don't have her contact, Trisha, I can always connect you guys offline.
That would be great. And just to answer Mary Jo's question, we're using Swivel and we love it.
Yeah, I actually have a call with Swivel today at 3:00. I just ran into Rodolfo in Florida, so we're going to talk about it. Again, guys, we talked earlier about technology, and Swivel's one that's really come around a long ways. I talked to Frank Soto from the storage mall, and he told me that Swivel's got him several rentals that people have gone on their website and used a chatbot through Swivel, and they were able to convert them right to a rental without even talking to a manager. So it's kind of cool that the technology's advanced that far that you can do that.
Well, it kind of goes back to how we kind of started this whole chat was, about getting over your fears and change. And change is, that's kind of goes back to what I was saying. Change is good. This is a good thing. I don't have any personal experience with Swivel. I'm talking to them right now as well for the last few weeks on how to implement it. But everyone I've talked to is just like, hey, it's a simple implementation process. They like the results they're getting. And again, I always look at it from, it's not so much the operator point of view. I always go from the customer point of view for everything I do. It's always the customer first. And some customers, they don't want to call. They don't want to go to the site. They just want to do everything online. And if they can do the whole thing and have a chatbot, a system with that, they're happy. So communicate with people how they want to be communicated with.
It goes back to the platinum rule, that book we talked about last time. Really, treat them right. It's funny because in my presentation I'm working on, the word fear, Jim, what do you think the acronym for fear could be?
I have no idea.
Well, I found two really good examples. Forget everything and run.
Okay.
Or face everything and rise.
Yeah, here we go. Oh, I'll put it in chat GPT. We'll get some other ones for you too.
Well, I've had another one. What's the acronym for fail?
No idea.
First attempt in learning.
Yeah, I like that. Yep.
Perfect. So, I mean, there are things out there that, I think if anybody, we've all met people and they said, I've succeeded at everything I've ever done. Bullshit. We've all stumbled, we've all fallen, we've all had to go take a step backwards. So anybody who says they've never failed at anything, maybe hasn't tried hard enough.
Like I say, let's combine me and yours years of doing this and the failures we've had. That's why we're doing this, frankly, because we've kind of seen that, or at least we know of other people have been there and done that and failed, and we can hopefully learn from our experiences.
As a father, I'm trying to convince my children that I'm trying to help them avoid some of the failures we had growing up. And they look at me like probably like I looked at my old man when he said it to me, like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, way to go, old man. Hey, Ruth, I see you're on here. Ruth Daniels, you're asking about unmanned. If you want to jump on, feel free to jump on, or I'll give you a minute, or otherwise I'll just read it. Let's see if you have your.
Hi, good morning.
There you are.
Sorry,
How
we
are
are
you?
used to Microsoft Teams, so bear with me.
Oh, you're good. No
Okay,
problem.
so my first storage facility managing has been 100% indoor climate controlled, multi-level storage facility. We have 2 staff members, creme de la creme, all that fun stuff. So we just took over managing an unmanned storage facility, complete opposite. So I've listened to so many of your webinars, your podcasts, all of that good stuff. So I just have to kind of get some tips and tricks on not driving myself crazy trying to man a complete opposite business concept than what I am used to and what I've trained myself on in the last few years.
Sure. Couple questions. How far is this from kind of like your home base from this other location?
Maybe 10 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So it's a satellite. Okay. That makes it much easier
Yes.
than
So-
most, frankly.
Right. Yeah. Because then our initial game plan is the people that call us for exterior lower prices, we can just send to that location. So
Yeah, that's the first step, and that's always the foundation. I'm always asking is like, cool, when I'm calling you, who's answering the phone? So it's going to your main site, and you're kind of taking calls for both locations.
correct. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. And then so after you got that tier done, sweet. Next tier is the software. What are you guys using?
They're currently in easy self-storage, which again, new software. We're under storage, so same storable team, but definitely different. We did have a introduction to SiteLink when we originally opened, so have a taste of that as well. But
Gotcha.
Are you converting one to the other? Do you have the same software?
I think so. I think we'll eventually switch it all over to the storage system.
That's key. You have to be on the same. I mean, you
Okay.
can have different gates and all, but you have to have the same platform PMS software to be able to do this effectively. You can. I mean, I've seen it done with others, but it's more of a headache than it's worth. So getting them all on the same software is probably going to be your biggest step. And once you get that level there, then you can start with the other things. But having the PMS the same has got to be, I would think, step one, right, Jim?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I was gonna say for storage on one, that's the next tier. And if you're gonna do it, it's kind of goes back to our conversion of how they're always a pain in the butt. Do it now. Don't do it in all season because you'll just be like,
Yes, right.
Yeah. You got about 30-day window here.
Yeah.
To bite the bullet. How many units are we talking about for this?
That one's gonna be 280,
Right.
so smaller.
That's doable.
Yeah.
Right.
And then next phase is, for like, boots on the ground that's going there and doing the maintenance. I'm sure you're sharing that staff, I would assume.
Yeah, so he was currently, or the owner was currently using another office that he owned to maintain the phones there. And they did a terrible job. So, I mean, I feel the only way to go is up, but, and then we looked in the Da Vinci lock system. I know, Jim Mooney talks about that a lot when I've heard him speak. So costing that out versus having a kiosk on site. So.
Yeah, it's when it comes to that kind of stuff with the hardware and how you're going to work it. I've never used kiosks at my locations. I mean,
Right.
I had one kiosk, but the biggest thing with kiosk, Ruth, is going to be the market. What is the market one? And like I said, Jim said everybody's got a kiosk in their hand. So do you want to use a kiosk for rentals or just payments, or what's your
I think it would be for
there are some good
rentals.
kiosks out there.
Okay. I think mainly would be rentals. Like if any, but that again has to go back to, they don't have anyone, you have to wait 24 hours before they remove a lock after a rental online, because there's no one there and no one really checking the systems or getting notifications of move-ins. So I don't know how a kiosk would work with that policy in place.
I can tell you, Ruth, we have 24 unmanned stores, and we use a lot of DaVinci's on some of them, but I got some stores that we just have a yellow breakaway tag on them. So when they rent the unit, the customer just knows when they go up there, they twist the tag off in the unit, and there's a brand new lock waiting for them in the unit that's part of the rental process.
Okay.
So they don't have to wait. But again, it goes back to the conversation we had in Florida, whether are you comfortable giving your gate code up front, or do you want to have somebody come in and see you, get an ID, all that stuff? So if you're comfortable with them just renting the unit, getting the gate code going in, you can definitely make that work. It's just you got to have the right technology with you. And like you said, by having a lock that somebody's got to take off, that's a recipe for disaster. That's not going to work.
Right.
But, there's a lot of different ways. And I know Shannon just put on there different ways of making it work. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's what works best for your market.
Okay.
And once you're comfortable, the biggest thing I would think down there, Jim, probably the next step is signage. Do you have good signage on the property? Tell people what to do, how to interact. Like I know on mine, we got QR codes when they pull up there, run remotely, scan here to rent, scan here to pay. They know what to do. But if you got pull up there and there's nothing there, you got to have good signage too.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, I'll show you this real quick. Talk for a second, and I'm gonna find this signage. I'll give you some examples.
Yeah, but Ruth, like I said, we're doing almost 80% of my rentals are digital, and I know this single kiosk. I've had kiosks before. Some markets they work well. I've had some people that want a kiosk for payments.
Okay.
Some people that want a kiosk that will dispense the lock, and they have various types of kiosks that are out there. They're very good. But I can tell you, I had one in New York. Nobody used it because that market didn't want it.
Right. Okay.
And that was 10 years ago. So now maybe you have, more people are used to the unmanned stuff, all that. But kiosks are out there. Jim, there's some great signage, dude.
I was gonna say, yeah. If you look in the chat, I have all my information there. Plus, you can book a time if you want. I'm an open book.
Yes, you are.
I'm happy to share the signage I have, for locks, for rentals, for when they get to the place. There's your 4 easy steps to rent, for your gate signage. So yeah, don't reinvent the wheel. I'm happy to help you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's been our philosophy so far. So I think sticking to that, and I probably am overcomplicating. Sometimes I want it to be perfect. And so I think my expectations and learning how to lower that is hard for me as well.
I'm the king of overthinking. So I've been there, done that for many, many times. And I've tried to learn to get over it, but a lot of the stuff's already been laid out for you. So
Perfect.
Other thing, Ruth, is cameras. Make sure you got good cameras that you can view remotely.
Okay.
So we could have a whole conversation on that, but yeah, let's keep this thing moving, and we can always help on that. But yeah,
well, thank you so much for your time and all of your guys' knowledge that you share so freely.
Yeah, we try.
We're a community. That's what we all help each other out for. And Sherry put a thing on there. Storage is easier than ESS was 100% correct. ESS is more of a smaller, I hate to use the word mom and pop, but single store, small store. And if you're going to get bigger and you want to scale, you want to have something that you can grow with and not have to convert later. Because as we just said, conversions are not fun.
So if you agree with this, when I do consulting or talking with owners and that, if they have a single store and it's like under 300 units and they're on ESS, I'm like, cool, that's sweet. Don't need to worry about changing. It fits the need, it fits the purpose for what you need. Great. If you're going to be adding some more stores or a bigger facility, that's when some of the limitations kind of come up for me. Do you kind of follow the same philosophy?
Exactly. I mean, the same thing. And make sure that if you're going to scale and grow, you make sure that your PMS will integrate. And if you're starting to add technology, we talked earlier about, some of the API integrations might not be there. Make sure it works. Make sure it's going to work for you. Scalability is a great thing, and making sure the technology is there think about now the APIs we use with our website and with our call center and with DaVinci locks and with our gate systems, and now with Swivel or StorePass or Storage Reach for reviews or any of these guys that integrate into our software. I always try to describe it. Your PMS should look like an old wagon wheel with all the spokes going in and out. If your technology partner can't communicate easily with your PMS, it's going to create a ripple effect down the road.
Yep. And as you're going through this, again, you might think you're a trailblazer. No, someone else has already been there. And if we can help point you in the right direction, like, cool, talk to XYZ, talk to that dude. They can save a lot of headaches through a lot of stuff. Whether we use that kind of that philosophy or those kind of products, we'll know somebody else that does.
Exactly. Jim, I just did a consulting job in I forget what state I was in, and we were talking about, you know, reinventing something. So, and I dumbed it down as much as I could, guys. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're talking about what, and I asked the question, and for all you guys here, what would 3 more rentals a month do to your property? Value wise, if you add 3 more rentals every month, what would that do to the overall value of your property and everything that goes with it? So we're not talking about you got to have 100 rentals. I'm just saying 3 more rentals a month. That's huge.
Huge. It's huge. Let me see if I can find this. I used to have a value. Oh, there it is. Good old Google. Here, let me share my screen again. Dun, 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 dun. Old logo, but hey, you get the idea. Let's see. You see that?
Yep.
I would do this when I would talk with owners. I love my owners, but man, sometimes they're cheap. And when I would talk about, you know, something new I wanted to implement, or, oh, that costs $100. I'm like, well, but it might get you an extra 3 rentals a month. You know, look at that. So let's just do it real quick. I don't know. Let's just say 100, make it real easy, $100. One rental, $100 a month, $400 a year, operating expenses, cap rate. We'll leave it at 6. You know, increasing the facility value, 13 grand. It's insane. So let's just do your 3. Let's just say there's 3 rentals a month, $100 a unit. Cool. Look at that.
And then if you do that by 12,
that would save me so much time of going back and forth with owners. I'd do that for them. Like, all right, cool, let's do it. So, yeah,
it's important. It's very important. We talk about it all the time. And I know last time we were on here, Shannon was on here talking about what does XPS or a call center cost you for a month? What is if they got you 1 rental, it paid for the call center forever, and it's taking care of that. But I do see that Mary Jo had a question on here about marketing strategies. And Mary Jo, you want to hop on?
I'll give you the 10-second countdown. I can hum the Jeopardy theme song if you want.
Please don't.
Oh, come on. Oh, right, you're not here. Fine, won't say it. All right, I'll read your question. Does anyone have?
Okay.
All right, fine. You can still talk. You can do your audio. I'd like to hear it from your own words. I'll read it. All right. Does anyone have some out of the box ideas for marketing strategies? Things have been slowing down here, and we've tried meta ads and various social routes already. Yeah.
Well, my first question for Mary Jo is going to be, is your Google business profile page maximized? That's the first question I ask everybody, because if you're not, and if you did an incognito search for your store, where do you rank?
She says yes.
That's fantastic news. I can tell you, one of the options I use, and I know sometimes it's not popular with people, but I'm going to use it anyway, is Sparefoot. We picked up a brand new store in Alabama that had no visibility, and we've already had about a dozen rentals from Sparefoot because they have the marketing behind them that's paying that. Yes, we're going to pay for the rental, but that's a real good one. But there's a lot of things you can do. I know Ann Ballard, or anybody from Universal is here, they would talk about grassroots marketing. They go out, to the apartment complexes around you, to contact your truck rental places around you, contact your movers that are around you, and network and make sure they all know who you are. That's really minimal things that you can do. Just off the top of my head, I mean, Local chamber, yeah, it's a really good one. I mean, you can have, I mean, I can tell you, we're on the main road with her. Okay, yes, a main road vehicles. However, is there an exit for your facility on that main road, or are they bypass you like on a highway? That's key. If they can't get, they can see you and they can't get to you. That's a no bypass. Well, your 30,000 cars don't do you a lot if they can't get to you. So making sure they know how to get to you. Maybe it's a sign on the building that says, "Hey, use exit so and so," or a call for direction or something like, out of the box thinking to get them to you.
She says she's on the main road, so that's great. Let me give you my little my 10,000-foot view here on marketing strategies. And again, same thing. If you want to book a time, I'm happy to go a little more in depth for you. Make sure it matches your specific market. Google My Business, obviously, optimize the crap out of that. Your website. When's the last time you've actually had it checked for SEO? Are you just paying for SEO and crossing your fingers it's getting done? There's some ways you can double check that it's actually being optimized and being seen.
Keywords
online for your keywords, meta tags, photos, there's all sorts of stuff that's over my head. That's why I have someone else that comes in and dissects it for me. Square foot is a thing, for sure. I don't do it every site by site, but it's a case by case basis and how much it's I'm paying for to pay for those rentals.
Jim, what's that website? SEM Rush?
Yep.
SEM Rush will give you an analysis of your webpage and how it looks.
Yeah, I mean,
again, you might not be able to, you got to understand what it's talking about, but that's when if you get it and have some, come to somebody else and show us what you're getting, maybe it helps.
Yeah, it's great for citations. If I just put it in there for you. Citations are basically, all the different listings online. And no one's going to yellowpages.com anymore to rent a unit. That's not the point. But the fact that your name, address, phone number is being consistent and sprinkled out throughout online on these directories will make your domain and your Google My Business listing legit. That's the whole point. So the more that you have consistency throughout online, it's going to get those domains more legitimized, get more eyeballs, which will make you get more rentals. So I just put it in a chat. Click the link, run your own reports for you to see kind of where you stand. Again, same thing. Raise from red flags, cool. Book a time. I'll help you to go more in detail on that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just going back real quick for online, kind of cover that. Your drive-by, make sure a sign is good. Get some feather flags if your place allows it. Otherwise, just stick them out there and beg for forgiveness later when they try to fine it $50 for having feather signs out in front of your facility. Go ahead and do it. And then you got your guerrilla marketing. That's your apartment alliances, like we were talking about before with the moving companies. I do a thing where I use my Facebook page. Go on Facebook page, look at your local realtors, moving companies, people or apartment complexes around you. Like their pages, comment on their posts. Use that as a social channel to start the conversation. It's definitely guerrilla marketing, but hey, you're sitting there.
Right.
You do it for 15 minutes a day. It goes a long way.
I mean, have you guys ever thought about, one of the things we've done before in the past is we've done, depending on what software you're using, you can export your previous database and you can do a marketing email blast using constant contact to your previous customers. Say, hey, we miss you, come on back. So you get that going. But using those things, tracking phone numbers on your website, making sure you know where your calls are coming from, using your website team to help you figure out if there's something else around you that, use the pinpoint mapping to see who's your client base, where they're at, and target that area. And then ask your current customers, are we doing reviews? It's, it's reviews and referrals. Referrals are key.
And yeah, that comes back to the online stuff. So reviews. Make sure you have a system in place, not just ask for it when you feel like it. Because I trust me, you're leaving a lot of reviews on the table, and reviews are golden right now. You have to have that, and then your pay-per-click.
Jim, I learned something on reviews the other week. I don't know if you're aware of it. Google wants us to respond to all the reviews.
Yeah.
But did you know that there's a scale, and they look at how fast you respond to the reviews?
Yeah.
And
it's your attentiveness.
Right. And the faster you respond, the better it helps you out. So, I mean, we were having some stores that we were responding to within the week, and it just became where, okay, we actually put a dedicated person there to look at the reviews regularly to make sure we're getting on top of them within, 12 to 24 hours. Because, and it was, again, I probably knew it down the road, but something we forgot about that, we're responding to them, but how fast you respond to them.
That's part of your closing duties or opening duties. That's just part of the day. I just add that to, your daily duty list. It takes 2 seconds to do it, but yeah, for sure. That's the same thing like on Google Business Profile, going back to that, turning the messages is on. It gives you a little thing saying agent is ready to assist or something like that's the verbiage. But I really recommend people turn that on if you're actually going to respond in a timely manner, because otherwise it says on there, agent responds within 6 hours. That looks terrible. So, you turn that on if you're able to be responsive. And again, if things are slow and you need a rental, you better be responsive. So,
The other thing is, if we're in slow times right now, we're getting ready for lease up, but really, maybe you have, if you're having the traffic on your website and you're getting the calls, maybe you need a little bit more aggressive concession plan for a move-in. When was that? Other thing is we talk to people all the time is, are they using a program like StoreTrack to check your pricing to make sure you're priced accordingly? Because you might think you're good, and you haven't checked your prices in 3 weeks, and your neighbor down the street's $25 below you, and you don't know about it. You're not getting traffic. So it all goes back to looking at your traffic, making sure you're getting traffic. And if you're getting traffic, great, but then why aren't we closing them? So there's different levels. It's like peeling back an onion. When you're starting to look at it, great, we're slow right now. Okay. Are inquiries coming in? No. Okay. Then look at it. Inquiries are coming in, but we're not closing them. Okay. Then look at that part of it. Why is that? There's different pieces. And, we are in February, and I know some of you said they're in Idaho, and it's probably cold up there too. So, we're going to be ready for lease up season in a couple of weeks, or we should be getting ready for it. We're always should be looking at it to keep ourselves relevant.
Yep. We'll keep things going here real quick. Ross. Hey, what's up, Ross? Do you think responding to a negative review helps, or does it look like you're just CYA? I don't know what that is. Sorry. But no.
I thought I would rather use the acronym instead of spelling it out.
Okay.
So,
it's like, what?
Yeah. What do you think about response to negative reviews?
You have to.
Yeah.
You got to. It's all about transparency. I mean, it's
Ross, I can tell you, we take it offline. We'll say, hey, Ross, we're sorry you had a bad experience. We'd love to figure out what happened. Please, email me a good time that we can call you to talk about the situation. Acknowledge there's an issue, say we want to help. And I can tell you 9 times out of 10, you're going to put that response out there. You're never going to hear from the person.
Yeah.
They want to complain.
Yeah, people like to complain. They want a platform to do it, but you make it short and sweet, like what you just said. Take it offline. I've seen some owners that kind of get in the lack of a better word, a pissing match back and forth, and it just turns into no one does any favors. It looks terrible online. So yeah, try to take it offline. I do flag them. I will do that on Google, and about 10% of the time, I'll get it removed. But a lot of times it's there. That's part of being transparent. And as long as you're having the system for requesting reviews, it gets buried.
Yeah, I think your comment about saying, like to talk to you about it because we value, what you think. I think that's a great response without doing the back and forth.
Yep.
Well, the other thing is, Ross, anywhere you go now, you're going to have a negative review. I don't care who you are. And I know as a shopper, if I'm going, and I was in Illinois this week looking for a restaurant. I found one, they had 5 reviews and they were all 5 stars. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going there. Because they didn't have the volume and they were all 5 stars. I'm like, nah, and we all know that we're not going to make everybody happy. If there's a negative review, I want to see how they respond to it, but I'll give them a chance. Now, if there's 4 or 5 in a row, then you're not going to go there. But and as Jim said, if you have a good program in place, they'll get buried with more good ones. So, relevant recent reviews are critical. So if you haven't had a review in 5, 6, 7 days, get one. If you look at your page and the last review you had was from like October of last year, get one.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Do you have like a for freedom? You guys have like a kind of internal compass goal of how many reviews you want to get on a weekly basis for your sites?
We look at them. We look at them on a. I mean, it's on my weekly. It's on my weekly report to the source, Jim. And I actually now taken it where I actually look at the number of reviews versus the number of move-ins, and I want to see, because that's really the only. You can't tell where all the reviews are coming from, but move-ins will help you. We're looking. I mean, I'm got search average 70-80% of all their move-ins get a review. Now, it maybe not be the case, but I'm looking at that, and I can tell you just looking at. I'll tell you right now.
So you're doing a correlation of how many move-ins did this store get this week, how many move-ins get this week, and how many reviews we got this week, and that percentage.
So right now I'm looking here.
I'm gonna print that off.
Through the 10th, we had 99 rentals, and through the 10th, I had 47 reviews.
Damn. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna start using that correlation. I like that.
Well, it's not 100% accurate, but it gives you a baseline to shoot for.
It gives you a great idea, and the fact that a lot of this comes down to, guys, is just focusing. Wherever you're focusing on the numbers, I don't care if it's move-ins or your marketing strategies or reviews. Just looking at the numbers. I mean, what's the old adage of what gets measured improves?
I had a boss that had a sign that said, "People respect what you inspect."
Yeah, there you go.
So, reviews are critical, and that's my managers get bonus on reviews, so they know that there's reviews are worth money in their pocket in the bonus program. So we've outsourced and we've hired another company to help us out. That's really been a good thing for us. And like I said, we went in like a 3-month span. We got 500 reviews for 25 stores.
That's insane. Sherry was asking about what's the cadence when you're asking for reviews. Upon moving, I would assume.
Every time we interact with somebody, we're going to ask for a review. But when they move in, they're going to get a text message and an email, and then they're going to get a text message a week later, 4 days later. And then anytime we train our manager, anytime we interact with somebody, oh, thank you so much for helping me out, whatever. Hey, would you mind? I just hired a new guy in Illinois, right? Walking around the property. He's going to be my boots on the ground guy, a remote store. He's not doing a lot of rentals or anything like that. But I said, look, when you see somebody on property, walk up to them. Make sure everything's good. Good experience. The door works. Everything's good. And when they say perfect, they say, you know what? Hey, I'm new. Trying to make a good impression. Would you mind helping me out? If I sent you a link for a review, would you be able to help me out?
Yeah, it's not hard. And you, if I remember right, doesn't yours have like a thing of saying if you give us a review, we'll throw you in the hopper for a gift card? Yeah,
it's a survey, and then at the end it said we'll put can we push this to Google for a review? Yes.
Gotcha.
But it works. I mean, it works.
And system question: what are you using? Storage Reach, right?
Storage Reach. So Steve Mullins, I was in Dupo, Illinois. I flew into St. Louis and drove over to Dupo, right over the bridge.
What was that? What?
So Steve asked where I was in Illinois.
Oh, I missed that. Okay. I was gonna say that was random. All right.
Yeah.
All right. What else we got here?
So Ruth just asked.
The new texting restrictions. How is the text worded so it doesn't get blocked? I haven't been blocked.
I haven't either.
I
mean, with texting, you have limited characters.
Well, we used to have the link to our Google and asked for the review, but now since we had to verify or register our texting phone number last year, they now get blocked, depending on the settings.
Who are you using for your texting?
It's through storage.
Then I would reach out to your rep at storage and see what's going on, because that doesn't sound right.
Okay.
Yes, something's up. Some verifications got to be off, because I was kind of doing the poor man's version of asking for reviews, and I wasn't using Storage Reach or Bird Eye platforms. I was just doing it strictly within storage. I did a whole blanket to everybody, so we're talking thousands of customers, and that was 2 weeks ago. And
one good point to make when you're asking for reviews and you're sending that link, and if you're using a shortcut like on Bitly or TinyLink or any of those ones, make sure that when you're sending a person a link to the review, it's going right to the star rating where they're going to pop up the reviews, and then not just going to your Google Business Profile page where they got to find and leave the review. Again, you want to make it simple for them. So make sure when you're using that link to send it to them, it's going to the end spot where you're going to get the review.
It's all about less friction. That's the whole
Less
point.
clicks.
I think we got time for. I want to be mindful of everyone's time, so we got a few more minutes. Anyone want to jump in on last pressing question you got in your mind? If not, we'll wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
No, this is fun. This is, I don't know. I get more out of this stuff. Just riffing back and forth and on the other thing. So hopefully everyone else that's on here, you like this too. That's great. I want to ask favor though, please. If you're on here, you got something out of it, invite 3 other people. Because if you invite 3, one might actually show. So invite 3 more for. We'll do this every other week. That's kind of that's going to be our cadence every other week. So I would really appreciate that for taking the time and doing this and kind of building this community. And again, it's not just us. We're all learning from each other. That's the
We're all here. We're all here to help.
So again, before we end this, we put a couple links in the chat. So hurry and find those links and then open them up. Because otherwise, after we end this, it's going to go bye-bye. You can always reach out to us. All right. I think we are good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jim, for taking the time and jumping on here again. This is a blast.
Dude, it's fun. I get to hang out with you for an hour. What more could I ask for?
We're such storage nerds. I swear. Love it. All right. Have a good weekend, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Bye.